Guess who's back? It's me again with another freaking video. Long overdue, but since your girl dropped her phone and broke it the other day, I have nothing but time today, so why not post another video? So for those of you guys that are new here, make sure you subscribe and join and be a part of the family. For those of you guys that are returning members of the family, I appreciate you guys so much and I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Anyway, without further ado, we are going to get into this video. Um, Today I really just wanted to share how God still works in mysterious ways. And it's not going to be anything crazy, but I just wanted to share just a tad bit of, really how he works. Because I know sometimes people feel like if he doesn't do things in a certain way, or you don't hear this like whisper or whatever the case may be, that he's not speaking to you, he's not moving on your behalf, or he's not moving at all. So with that being said, I'm currently going through a situation that has tested and tried me, of course. But outside of that, I've kind of been on this journey to really get closer to him, but also to really make sure that I do my part in blocking out certain things and getting more focused so that I can hear from him when he does speak to me in the ways that he does speak to me, of course. But anyway, because it's one of those things where it's like after so long, because when you first start on your journey to getting closer to God and learning who he is and learning who you are, and how that works for you, we have this dying yearning for hearing him and feeling him and experiencing him, so much so that we will do just about anything to make it happen. And we're all in it, but then after a while we get caught up in life and work and relationships and family and jobs and things of that nature, where we lose sight of how we got there in the first place, and how it is that we keep being allowed to get certain things or whatever. And so we stop doing some of the things that we did when we were a little bit more disciplined, because we were in need of something really, really bad. And so once we get something, then it's kind of like we kind of just let him fall by the wayside and find other things to do, and we don't really schedule out that time anymore. And so I'm guilty of it, of course, like anybody is, because it's hard to try to keep up with something that is not already scheduled. Like, you really have to be dedicated on your own. You really have to be disciplined on your own. You really have to make the time on your own. It's not something that's forced. It's not something that is set aside. There's nothing, set in stone. Like, this is really all on you. And you have the free will to do, not to do, make the time, not make the time. And so that's the tricky part about faith. It's what you make of it. It's what you do. It's, all of that wonderful stuff. So like I said, I'm going through a moment where it's just like I feel like we've been kind of distant. And so, I have gotten a little bit deeper in my prayer life. I've gotten back to reading his word. I've gotten back to, really taking the time out to put him first or whatever. And so it was like I still wasn't, getting any type of feedback. And there was so much of that I was, speaking to him about and in reference of. And I just felt like, I didn't know if I was doing the right thing, if I was doing the wrong thing, if I was on the right path, did I cause something? Like, did I delay it, or whatever the case may be? And so, like I said, God works in mysterious ways to answer your questions and to answer your prayers and to, give you what you need and things of that nature. And it's never how you expect it. It's never when you expect it or where or whatever the case may be. So, for those of you guys that don't know, I do not work a 9-to-5 life anymore. There's nothing wrong with that. Do whatever you please. But for me personally, God had called me away from that to do other things. And of course, I needed time. I needed availability to be able to do the things that he's called me to be and do the things that he's called me to do. And So yeah, I haven't worked a 9 to 5 in like 3 years. And so I've pretty much done everything that I have a passion for, that I have the gift for, that I have the drive for. So anything from servicing people by doing Instacart, DoorDash, doing hair. I'm also in school for hair as well. And, serving at my church and being a youth leader. Also, just helping out however I can, but using my gifts and talents for good and not evil. So, anyway, long story short, in doing, some of the things that I'm gifted in doing, I always have those situations where things would happen where I couldn't do them to the capacity that I used to. And so I lost my car a while ago now. It's almost coming up on a year. And so I've been able to still, be mobile, but not in the sense that I used to be. And so it's really time savvy and it's really intentional. And so it's been hot. So I've had a lot of wear and tear on the car that I've been using, but also wear and tear on myself, doing the most, just trying to, do what I got to do to, live. And so I was doing Instacart earlier last week, and I had an order where it was not a whole lot of stuff, but it was a good bit of stuff, and it was extremely hot. And I'm in Georgia right now, so I don't know about where you guys are, but it is hot in Georgia. Okay, like the oven is on 475 broil type of hot right now. So with that being said, it's just like easily irritated, really don't want to do too much, and it's like, this person that I was looking for was nice or whatever. And they, told me to leave my stuff, well, their stuff at their house or whatever, but parking was pretty far, and then they had stairs, and then they had a case of water and things of that nature. So I was already, hot and bothered. Not in the other sense, but in a sense of I really didn't want to be there. I really didn't want to do it. I was really annoyed because it was already hot. And then on top of that, you got all this stuff and you're not coming to help get the stuff out or whatever. So I'm following the instructions on the delivery, and basically they said leave it at their door, but ring the doorbell. So as I'm getting ready to, leave after I hit the doorbell, then this elderly lady came out and was like, hey, if you don't mind, if you can, bring this stuff in my house for me, I just had some things happen to me. So, I had surgery and stuff, and so I can't really be bending down like that to pick up all the stuff. And instantly I had attitude because, like I said, it was hot, and I just came up and down these stairs and through the parking lot. And, I just really was annoyed. So, I was like, you know what? Let me just do it anyway, whatever. And she was like, I don't really have anything I can give you, like tip wise, but, I do really appreciate, the fact that you're doing this for me, especially considering the fact that, of the terms and conditions of her health or whatever that caused her not to be able to do for herself like she would normally want to. So I'm like, this lady ain't got no tip either, and I'm bringing all this stuff in your house, and it's hot as I don't know way, and like, you can't even thank me for my services, like, being that typical person, whatever. And so she was like, you know what, actually, come in here for a second. And so she lets me know that she's a minister and, this, that, and third. And she asks, could she pray for me? And I don't know about y'all, but for me personally, I'm not a person that wants nobody to really pray for me that is a stranger. If I don't know you like that, I'm really not trying to have you pray for me because I don't know what you up to. Because there's a lot of people that are out there that are, into the business of scamming folks to think that they're somebody that is spiritual, but really they just actors and they just out here to get folks, into all of this mess. But, really they ain't qualified by God for none of the stuff that they quote unquote claim to be doing. So I'm not with any and everybody prophesying over me. I'm not with any and everybody praying for me. I'm not even with any and everybody touching me or being connected to me. So that's besides the point. So I'm like, sure, go ahead, whatever, whatnot. So she asked me my name, and I told her whatever. And without me even telling her anything, just my name, y'all, when I tell you this lady went into prayer about things that I had been praying about for myself, and I hadn't said anything to this woman, and she was so spot on. It was like scary to me, even down to my current situation, which nobody really knows except, a select few. And y'all, when I tell y'all, I literally wanted to break down and boohoo cry, because I'm just like, this could only be God. The fact that she knows exactly what I'm going through, exactly what to pray for, exactly the areas in my life that I need breakthrough and healing, exactly the areas of my life that I've been praying about, like down to specific details. And I was like, whoa. Like, this has got to be God really speaking to me, because he's the only person I've been speaking to this to about this situation. So, could only be him answering me. And so, after that, then she actually went and found, something to give me, and I actually needed it at that time, which was great. But it was just walking away from that and knowing that I've been teaching on prayer, and he's been using me in a sense to be a vessel of sharing, what it means to pray, but also guiding me in practicing what I preach on prayer, but also understanding that even though, we feel like we got certain areas in our life or spirituality, down packed, that he still, ceases to amaze us in, how he still moves, how he still does things, to the point where we know exactly, what it is and what it was, or whatever the case may be. And so I wanted to share this story for those that are out there that have similar things going on like me, where you find yourself in a place where you feel like he's not speaking to you, he's not moving on your behalf, he's not making situations turn around in your favor, he's not covering you, he's not protecting you, he's not guiding you, he's not comforting you, he's not doing quote unquote the things that he said he's gonna do. And even in the midst of all of that, he still, gives you a sign. He still, speaks through other people. He still uses other people to, let you know that he's indeed there and he heard you. And on top of that, sometimes we get into these places where we get in our own head about, God not meeting our preference, and we'll block the blessings out of pride because of him not doing it the way that we wanted him to do. And we forget that, yes, God works for us, meaning he's on our side and he wants the best for us. However, he does not work for us, meaning we don't tell him what to do and he does it exactly how we say it, and what we tell him and all this other stuff. Like, we're not in charge of him. We're not the boss of him. What he does, what he requires, and all of that is above our pay grade when it comes to how he chooses to do things. And so sometimes I know it's beyond what we can fathom, what he's capable of. And so sometimes we will doubt or knock him for being capable of certain things, only because we know what us humans are capable of. So we try to put him in that box or that category or that limitation on what he can and cannot do, what he does or what he doesn't do. And sometimes we allow those things to let us down because he's not doing it to meet our preference. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but he's not here to meet our preference. He's not here to, do things the way we want him to do it and the way we want him to do it and all that wonderful. Like, he's not here for that. And he's not here to play Captain Save-A-Butt to us and be the superhero and jump in and save us every time. Because if he saves us from everything and if he does everything, like, then what do we need to be here for? If he's going to do everything, if he's going to keep us from going through anything, then what is the purpose of life then? If we've never experienced anything, if we never learn anything, if we never have to use the things that he has given us, then why are we here? Like, he would have just, simply just done away with all of it. After the first time he done away with it, he wouldn't have recreated all over again. If we didn't need his help, but also he didn't need us to play our part. So, again, I don't know who this might be for, but keep trusting in him, trust the process. Understand that no matter what it is that you go through, he's never going to leave you or forsake you, meaning no matter what it is that you got to go through, what it is that you got to endure, it's all for a reason. It's all for a greater purpose. But at the end of the day, it's not only about you, and you're not the only person that it's going to affect. So even though, you're going through a storm, that storm, at the end of the day, as you get through it and however you get through it and make it out to the other side, you sharing that with somebody else is going to help them. You being able to be a witness to what he still does and how he still works is going to help somebody else be able to believe and have faith. And you're going to be the one that helps him get the honor, the glory, and the praise that he deserves, because the things that he does we can never do. The things that he saves us from, the things that we go through that are supposed to kill, steal, and destroy what we have, that continues to drive us, no one could do. Like, me going through that situation with that woman, and her knowing without me even saying it from my mouth to her what it is that I was going through, and knowing exactly what to pray for, that could only be God. You can't just look at me and say, oh, this is what's going on, or this or that is what she need prayer for, or whatever the case may be, because it wasn't like a physical, illness or anything. I wasn't coughing, I wasn't sneezing. It wasn't something that was easily, to be diagnosed by the naked eye. It was something that you really would have to know, what's in my heart or what's in my spirit to be able to speak into my life and tell me exactly, what it is that you want to share with me that he shared with you. Because at the end of the day, a person that is not connected with God cannot help you when it comes to prayer. They can't, because they don't know what you're going through. They don't know what to say or how to say it. They don't know, like, they're thinking too deep into things a lot of times. But a person that's connected to God, like, no matter what it is, and they're being led by the Spirit, which means they're led by him being their guide into what to say, how to say it, and who to say it to, like, that's another breed. And I don't know about y'all, but it's also something that touches me every time, because it's like he never does things the same way every time. Like, it's always different. There's always something I can get from it. It's always, a different person. It's always, all of those different things. And it's like, wow, he's done it again. And for the people that are like, well, why do you, still trust him? Why do you still, have faith? Why do you still believe, all of these things? If, he allowed you to go through something, or he allowed something to happen, understand what you just said. He allowed it. Everything that happens in this world has to go through him. Why? Because he created it. So there is nothing that can be done. There is nothing that can be said. There is nothing that can be shared that he didn't know about first. So at the end of the day, yeah, he knew you were going to have some rough times. Yeah, he knew that things were going to, get easy at some point. Yeah, he knew you were going to have a season of this, a season of that. He knew that, you were going to go through those dark moments. He knew that the enemy was going to test you before you or the enemy knew y'all was going to test each other. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, that it's a book that was already written that he's allowing you to read. And at the end of the day, you got to trust him, because he's the one that wrote the story. So, of course, he already knows. He wrote it, duh. Why wouldn't he know? So, if he wrote it and he knows about it, meaning if he's the one that created you and he's the one that allowed you to have this lifespan that you have, he's the one that it gave you, the resources to get here, and the resources that will, bring you through, all that you endure while you're here, and even the resources after you leave here in the flesh. Like, what not what wouldn't you, trust about this person? Like, he's not in human form, meaning, it would be a trial and error thing with him, or there are going to be mistakes made. There is no mistakes with him. Everything was intentional with him. He knew everything way before you knew it. He knew you was going to be a girl or a boy before you got here. He knew, who your parents were before you knew who your parents were. Even before your parents knew that they was going to have a kid. He knew way before, you knew that, this might not be, such a good situation, but you will make the situation better. He knew that, you weren't going to like this person, you weren't going to like that person. He knew that you were going to need those people. He knew, that you were going to have this gift, this talent. He knew that you were going to be good at this, you were going to be good at that. He knew you were going to not like this, you were not like that. He knew you were going to go through your moments where you're not going to agree with everything he said. He knew that, sometimes, you and your parents might not get along. He knew that, whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, understand that he knew that already. There is nothing that can be done. There is nothing that can be said. There is nothing that can be shared. There is nothing that happens without God's approval. Nothing without his approval or disapproval. Like, he already knew it. Even when you do things outside of his will, he already knows what's going to happen when you do those things. And guess what? He still lets you pick from free will. He lets you choose those things anyway. He lets you, pick the wrong people sometimes. He lets you, pick the right people sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's all on you. He's got a plan. He's got an idea. He's got things in mind that will solve a problem out here in this world. He has some things that will go together to create a bigger picture. But at the end of the day, in most cases, we don't understand that stuff because it's way far above our pay grade. Like, we don't get paid enough for that. To get so deep into, why he did this and why he did that and why he allowed this and why he allowed this and why this happened to this person, why it didn't happen to the other person. Like, that's besides the point. That's never for you to sit there and think about. That is his job. That is his thing. That is his, dreams and aspirations coming to life. So understand that we do need him to, make sure that things go the way that they are planned. And even when things don't go as planned, he still is like, okay, I can still work with that. Because at the end of the day, he took all of those things in perspective. Like, I know for a fact I'm creating these people to do specific things, to have specific gifts, to have specific talents, to have, specific, parents that will play into genetics and things of that nature, and, how they'll look, how they will sound, and this, that, and the third, what they may think, how they may be raised, and all this wonderful stuff. But also understanding that, I created this once before, and they didn't follow my instructions, and they disobeyed me, and, they caused such a good thing to be something that wasn't looked at as such a good thing. And at the end of the day, the only way that I can fix this is that I allow it to be what it has to be, but allow them to be able to choose me to help make it better. Like, that's the only way I can explain it. And so, like I said, it's one of those things where I feel like sometimes people don't understand that people who are saved and choose to believe that we do go through stuff, not because, we're any less than a person than the next person or any better than the next person, but at the end of the day, because we are a human being. We're not exempt from anything. Just because you believe or don't believe, you're not exempt from anything, which is why things can happen to good people and bad people. Nobody is exempt because of what they believe and what they don't believe, because of what color they are, or because of what gender, or because of, the people they hang around or whatever. We're not exempt. So understand when, you're going through different things and you feel a certain way, that somebody else is going through something either better or worse, but at the end of the day, they're not exempt either. Meaning, like, just because, you see a person's situation and it looks better than yours doesn't mean it's better than yours. It just means it's suited for them. So it works for them. However, you might be going through a bad situation and you might be like, dang, I wish I had that because then I wouldn't go through this. Understand, you're going through this because he knew that you in your situation would actually make it out. If he would have given it to somebody else, they would have been broken. They would have been hurt. They would have been evil. They would have been this. They would have been that. They wouldn't have even made it. But he knew if that happened to you, with the faith that you have, with the gifts and talents that you have, with the people that are surrounded around you, that you, little old you, would make it. Little old you would get through. Little old you would allow him to get the honor, the glory, and the praise that he deserved out of the situation. Little old you wouldn't be selfish and be like, I did this, I did that, I need the credit for this, I'm the GOAT for that. But you would actually say, this is him, this ain't me. Because the stuff that he allows and the stuff that happens in your life is not you. I wouldn't have picked that lady to say those things. I wouldn't have, picked that lady to pray. I didn't pick her. She picked me. And when I say she picked me, she didn't even pick me. She didn't know who's going to drop off her groceries. She didn't know, who's going to come to her house. She didn't know if I was going to say yes or no to helping her bring her stuff in. She didn't know if I was going to say yes or no to allowing her to pray for me, especially with a person that works off of quote unquote commission, because I'm an entrepreneur. So in terms, I'm an independent contractor, which means everything that I do, I work for. And so if a person is not giving me XYZ amount of money, then I only get the bare minimum, meaning I just worked super hard for something and I'm not even getting the full benefits of what I've done for my services. And so for her to not only go as far as to pray for me, but to find it in her to still be able to give me something, even when at first sight she was like, I really don't have anything. And then, here it is, after giving me literally what she had to give, she was able to be blessed enough to find something else to give me that actually, even though in her mind it wasn't nothing, for me that was big, because I actually needed gas at the time. So $20 was a lot. And for some of y'all might be like, oh, that's half a tank. That's half a tank I didn't have. I was rolling up to her house with the gas light on. So $5 would have been great. Like, it didn't matter what she would have gave me. Something is better than nothing. And so, with that being said, I don't want to make this a long video, but that's just my story of how, a moment where he spoke to me and how he spoke to me. And again, it wasn't a whisper. It wasn't a soft breeze or, whatever. Because I know sometimes people expect things to be like in a weird way that he speaks to you. But understand that he speaks to you in ways that will resonate with you. Knowing that I have been speaking on certain things, but I've only spoke to him about those specific things, he knew he would catch me off guard with a human being that I don't know, that I've never told anything before, to be able to pinpoint certain things that I only told him. He knew that would catch my attention. He knew I would be like, yeah, that was him, because I've only talked to him. That wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't by luck. It wasn't an accident. It was on purpose. Now, to what extreme, that would have been if I was that person that was like, girls, I ain't helping you. Or I would have been in my feels and been like, nah, lady, figure out something else. Get somebody else to do it. And I would have been obedient, but something in me was like, and it had nothing to do with her being old. It had nothing to do with, her as a person. It just had something to do with what would sit right with me in my spirit. Like, knowing that I'm here to offer somebody a service and I'm doing a half job because it's hot. Like, I treat everybody like they're my only customer, because at the end of the day, yes, I'm being a blessing to them, but they're also a blessing to me, because, yes, I'm blessing them with whatever they're about to eat, but they're blessing me with whatever I'm going to make financially, for, helping them out, because they really don't have to tip. They already paid me for my services, so that's just extra. So for me to follow suit and, just help her out just that little bit was a blessing for her. So, I mean, look at it however you want to. But that's one of those God is real moments, whether you believe it or not. And like I said, that's one of those things that I can't take credit for, because it wasn't my work. It wasn't me. I'm just a vessel that he uses, and she was just a vessel that he used. And, he knew I would share it with somebody, because how could I not? Like, the stuff that he does, you absolutely have to share, because it's one of those things where it's like you got tea on somebody and you have to share it. You have to spill it with somebody. Like, it's piping hot, straight off the stove. You got to spread that type of tea. Like, regardless of whether you think people are going to believe you or not, you got to spread that tea. Like, it's hot off the press. You got to share it with somebody. And that's why he does the things that he does, because he knows, like, certain things happen, we just got to share it with somebody. Like, when people, find money, or when people, get something when they had nothing, or whatever the case may be, those be the people that are no respectable of a person, and the most genuine people, because they absolutely have nothing to lose by sharing this with you. They have nothing to lose by being vulnerable to share such a intricate part of their life with you, and to get nothing in return for sharing that with you. So, for those that have lost hope, who have, their faith has gotten weakened because of what's going on in their situation, understand that even though you're in this situation, he ain't left you. He didn't stop talking to you. He didn't stop thinking about you. He didn't stop wanting the best for you. He's not going to stop working things in your favor, no matter what you have done, no matter how far you have gone, no matter the last time you have talked to him, or if you don't talk to him at all, he is still on your side, and it's never too late. It's never too late to speak to him. It's never too late to get connected. It's never too late to share that story with somebody else. It's never too late to turn from the things that you have done. It's never too late to decide this is what you want to do. And it's never too late to, realize that you're in the wrong in certain situations, and, do what's better now. So, hopefully this is helpful for somebody out there, and share it with somebody if you need to. And if this video does anything for you, or my testimony does anything for you, please feel free to drop how you feel, or whatever it is that you want to say, in the comments. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down. I mean, it is what it is. It's not for the accolades, the validation, or anything for me. It's for, people to be able to find their way, and receive what they need to receive. And if it's for you to receive it. And if it's not for you to receive, then give it to somebody that can receive it. And even if you're a person that's like, you know what, I don't like her, I don't like the way she's going about things, I don't even like she's talking about God, babe, send it to somebody that would like it. Send it to somebody who would care, if that's not for you. Okay. And without further ado, I love you guys, and there's nothing you can do about it. And until next time.